Welcome to this beginner-friendly lab. Today we will learn how to reclaim disk space on a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10 server. Your server's disk is almost full. Applications are starting to fail, and you need to free up space safely without breaking anything. Here is the plan. First, we check which file system is full using the df command. Second, we find the largest files and folders with du and find. Third, we clean the package manager cache. Fourth, we remove old kernels. Fifth, we trim the system logs. Sixth, we clear temporary files. Seventh, we remove core dump files. And finally, we verify the space we reclaimed and set up automatic maintenance. You will need root access or sudo privileges and a terminal on your RHEL 10 server. This lab works on a physical server, a virtual machine, or a cloud instance. Remember, always take a backup or a snapshot before deleting anything on a production server. Let's get started. Step 1. Check the current disk usage. Open a terminal and log in as root or use sudo. The first command you need is df. df stands for disk free. Run it with the -h option for human readable output. Type df space -h. You will see a table showing every mounted file system, its total size, used space, available space, and the usage percentage. Look for the file system that is nearly full. Usually it's the root file system, shown as a /. In this lab, our root file system is 88% full. Next, check inodes with df space -i. Inodes are the index entries for files. If inodes are full, the disk can be empty, but still refuse to create new files. This happens when there are millions of tiny files. Now write down the current used and available values. We will compare them at the end to prove how much space we reclaimed. Step 2. Find out what is eating the disk. The do command, disk usage, shows the size of directories. Run du with -xh so it stays on one file system and prints human readable sizes. Point it at the root directory, / and sort the output. The full command is du space -xh space / pipe sort space -rh space pipe head space -10. Run it with sudo. The largest directories appear at the top. In our example, /var is the biggest, at almost 7 gigabytes. Drill down into it with du -xh space /var pipe sort -rh pipe head. To find individual large files, use find. For example, find space /space -xdev space -type space f space -size space +100m space -ls. This lists every file larger than 100 megabytes. Now you know exactly where the space is going. Identify only. Do not delete anything yet. Step 3. Clean the package manager cache. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10 uses DNF5, the modern package manager. Every time you install or update software, DNF stores the downloaded packages in a cache at /var/cache/dnf. Over time, this cache can grow to several gigabytes. First, check its size with du space -sh space /var/cache/dnf. Then run dnf space clean space all. This removes the cached packages and metadata. It is completely safe. It does not uninstall any software. It only removes the installer files, which can be downloaded again anytime. Next, remove orphaned packages. These are packages that were installed only as dependencies and are no longer needed by anything. Run dnf space auto remove. Answer Y for yes when it asks for confirmation. In this lab, cleaning the cache freed about 2 gigabytes. That is 2 gigabytes back from one simple command. Step 4. Remove old kernels. Every time the kernel is updated, RHEL keeps the old kernels as a fallback in case the new one has problems. By default, it keeps 3 kernels, and each kernel can use several hundred megabytes. check which kernel is currently running with uname space -r. Then list all installed kernels with dnf space list space installed space pipe space grep space kernel. To remove the old kernels safely, Red Hat provides a simple one-liner. dnf space remove space -- old install only. DNF keeps the currently running kernel and removes all the others. In our lab, this freed over 1 gigabyte. After the removal, reboot the server and confirm it boots normally with uname space -r. Important, never remove all kernels. Always keep the running kernel and ideally one spare. This step is one of the biggest wins on a server that has been updated many times. Step 5. Trim the system logs. The biggest log consumer on modern RHEL is the systemd journal. It stores logs from the kernel, services, and applications. First, check how much space it uses with journalctl space -- disk usage. Then set a size limit. For example, journalctl space -- vacuum size space 200 M. This keeps only the newest 200 megabytes of logs. Or use the time option. journalctl space -- vacuum time space 14 days. This keeps the last 14 days. Both commands are safe because the journal always keeps the newest entries. Next, look at classic log files in /var/log. Check the folder size with du-sh space /var/log. Old rotated logs usually end in .gz or .1. You can delete rotated logs older than 30 days with find space /var/log space -name space quote star.gz quote space -mtime space +30 space -delete. Run it with sudo. Be careful. Never delete the active log files, like messages or secure. This step typically frees several hundred megabytes. Step 6. Clear temporary files and caches. Temporary files live in /tmp and /var/tmp. RHEL cleans them automatically with a systemd timer, but you can trigger the cleanup right now with systemctl space start space systemd-tmp files-clean. This removes files older than 10 days. Next, check what is taking space in /tmp with du space -sh space /tmp. Remember, files in /var/tmp survive reboots, so they can grow large. Check that folder too. Then look at user caches. Every user has a hidden cache folder in their home directory. For example, /home/student/ .cache. If the user is not logged in, you can safely delete the contents of their cache folder. Also empty the trash folder, /home/student/ .local/share/trash. Always make sure an application is not using a file before you delete it. When in doubt, skip it. It is better to leave a file than to break an application. Step 7. Remove core dumps and crash files. When a program crashes, RHEL can save a core dump. That is a snapshot of the program's memory, used for debugging. Core dumps can be huge, hundreds of megabytes each. On modern RHEL systems, they are stored in /var/lib/systemd/core-dump. Check them with core-dump control-list. To remove them, run core-dump control clean. This deletes dumps that are older than 3 days. Some systems also keep crash reports in /var/crash, collected by kdump. Check the folder size with du-sh/var/crash. If you do not need the reports, remove them with rm-rf/var/crash/star. Only do this if you are sure the reports are not needed. Finally, hunt for stray core files on the root file system. Find ///-type/x-dev/type/f/name/core/size/+100M. This step usually frees several hundred megabytes. Step 8. Verify your results and automate maintenance. First, run df space -h again. Compare the used and available values with the numbers you wrote down in step 1. In our lab, usage went from 88% down to 64%. That is about 4.5 gigabytes reclaimed. Next, if your server is a virtual machine, a cloud instance, or uses thin provisioned storage, run fstrim space -AV. This tells the hypervisor that unused blocks can be freed, so it can give the space back to the storage pool. RHEL 10 includes a weekly trim timer. Enable it with systemctl space enable space dash dash now space fstrim dot timer. Verify it with systemctl space status space fstrim dot timer. Finally, build a maintenance habit. Set monitoring alerts so you are notified when a file system passes 80% usage. Fixing a slow creep is much easier than rescuing a full disk at midnight. And that completes the lab. Let's recap the commands. To check usage, df-h and df-i. To find space hogs, du-xh space / pipe sort-rh pipe head, and find with -size plus 100M. To clean the package manager, DNF clean all and DNF auto remove. To remove old kernels, DNF remove -- old install only. To trim logs, journalctl -- vacuum -size 200M. To clear temporary files, systemctl start systemd -tmp files -clean. To clear core dumps, core dump ctl clean. And for virtual machines, fstrim -AV with the weekly fstrim timer. Best practices: monitor disk usage regularly, set log size limits, run fstrim on virtual machines, always keep the running kernel, and take a snapshot before major cleanups. And the golden rule: never delete a file you do not understand. Investigate first, delete second. Thank you for following along, and happy space saving.